Hello, and welcome to what I'm sure will be a thought-provoking roundtable discussion on the subject of building trust in digital business. We're going to be considering the relationship between your network and data security, how to improve the customer experience, and the importance of new technology on recruiting and retaining the best talent. I'm joined today by Alex Connor, Head of Portfolio Strategy at Vodafone Business, best-selling author and leading analyst Brian Solis, and James Morgan, Vice President of Enterprise across EMEA at Juniper Networks. Throughout our chat, we'll be referring to the three key themes from our latest research report, Building Trust in Digital Business. It reveals how organizations across 5 key global markets are changing the way they operate and the role that software-defined networking is playing in this transformation. So before we dive into the details, I'm going to start by asking you all a personal question. What gets you out of bed every morning? What are you most excited about in our industry? And I think, James, I'm going to put you on the spot first.
Okay, thank you. Well, for me, dealing with enterprise customers day in, day out, it's seeing the way that our technology is used and taken into their operations and how that shapes the world, how that improves their customers' experience, and how by working with partners like Vodafone, we really deliver some amazing examples of technology innovation.
Cool. Brian, what about you?
Well, first it's coffee, and then, then it's the pace of disruption and innovation and its impact on business and markets, and also the study of what it's doing to us as individuals, as customers, as a society.
Alex, what about you?
Yeah, for me, it's about delivering simplicity for our customers. So telecommunications and IT can be very complex. If we can find ways of delivering simple solutions to customers that makes their lives easier, enables them to deliver a better experience for their end customers, and that gets me really passionate in the morning.
We're making things simpler, we're driving at speed, and we're changing behaviors. This is going to be a good discussion. So now that we know a little bit more about what makes you tick, I want to turn our attention to the report. And the research talks about data being the new language of trust. So how important is it that collecting data transparently and using it intelligently is building trust with customers and employees?
Well, I like how you mentioned that data is being the new language of trust, because I believe in this digital economy, trust is something you lose rather than build it up first. And once you lose, it's very difficult to get back. We all use mobile devices, we all use digital devices in almost everything that we do, and that creates obviously a lot of data. But customers don't see it as data, they see it as sort of an expectation to get the experience that they want, the personalization that they demand, the convenience that they expect. And in that regard, companies now have to start thinking about the experience that they want and using data now as a currency to deliver that value.
Yeah, and I certainly see data as the lifeblood for any modern organization, and it's really, really important to understand and have visibility about, end to end where that data resides. And as we're moving more and more into a multi-cloud type environment, it sometimes can be quite difficult, even down to those devices. So for me, it's about having, ensuring you have the visibility, and then using technologies like telemetry and automation to ensure that you can see it, you can protect it, and you can deliver that data back to the customer and the consumer when they need it.
Yeah, it's interesting, Katrina. You talked about using data intelligently. So for me, it's about not just accessing the data, but how you enrich that data and then make it meaningful for the customer so they can use it to drive decision-making in their business. So a good example would be within our business, we collect huge amounts of information from the network and from the networks. To make it meaningful to the customer, then we need to add information about what that customer's trying to do in their business, what their intent is, but also contextual data as well around what time of year it is or what particular period it is for them in terms of trading. It's only when we add that context back to that data and enrich it, we make it meaningful to the customer so they can use it to drive their business.
So I think we've heard lots of examples in the news of companies not getting it right about data transparency and some of the eye-watering fines we're seeing. Who can give me an example of a company that's getting it right? What about you, James?
Well, for me, from a personal perspective, it's a company called Peloton who are somehow managing to motivate and encourage me to get up out of bed at 6 o'clock in the morning and get on an exercise bike. And it's they know everything about me from the stats that generates. It's all cloud-driven. It's updated. They know what music I like. They know the type of classes I like, and they're actually contributing to my wellness.
Yeah, for me, it's music streaming services, and again, it's about personalisation, really understanding what I want to listen to, and even when I want to listen to that type of music. But then taking that further and saying, well, if you like this particular type of music, well, this band that you're into is playing a gig 2 miles away from your home on the 2nd of September or whenever it is, and providing me with that information. So it's about personalisation and then using that information to help me make decisions about the way I want to live my life and what I want to do.
So as interactions between customers and businesses are increasingly occurring online, it's not enough anymore just to satisfy customers, right? We're all looking for that wow factor. So what emerging trends and opportunities do businesses need to get hold of today if they're really going to wow their customers? Is there anything holding them back right now? Brian, what do you think?
Well, there's a lot holding them back, but I don't think it's what we usually talk about. I think it starts with the wow factor, and that means that we have to understand customers. I think companies have the best of intentions when they're thinking about customer experience, but for the most part, if we talk about data being the new language of trust, then we have to look at language and we have to look at trust as human. Data becomes sort of this enabler for us to be more human, but where executives struggle is that they're making decisions based on stakeholder, shareholder value. Technology then becomes a cost center. Yeah. Technology becomes often the center of all of these conversations, and so we tend to miss the humanity of this. But when we put customers at the center of everything, we can actually understand what a day in their digital life is. So I talk about living the digital life as Generation C, where the C stands for connected. So it's not about demographics anymore, it's about expectations, it's about interests, it's about behaviors. And data gives us that enablement to understand all of those human factors so that we can see, for example, if they love an app or if they love a certain service, what is it that they love? How has that experience changed? How has that become sort of the expectation? And bring that information back to build on our existing products and services, but also look for that wow factors to say, we could replicate that and we can even open up new opportunities. And I think this is where business is becoming more human by understanding that our legacy mindsets are not allowing us to see them, that even that legacy mindset takes data and makes it more, I guess, the same rather than the new. This is really an opportunity to create that wow factor inside as well.
Okay. I think the interesting thing for me is customers are trying to deliver that wow. So organizations are trying to deliver that wow. They're trying to deliver a number of different things for their customers. So personalization, multi-channel, full control for their customers. And that's a real challenge for them. And a number of conversations I've had with customers of ours where they said, well, our business have come up with some great ideas to deliver real differentiation in the market. But from an IT and platform perspective, we can't keep up. We can't deliver these services at speed. So for me, the most important thing is getting the foundations right from a technology and platform perspective that will deliver your business the agility that you need in order to deliver that wow. And once you're there, you can speed up and you can really accelerate and deliver the wow that your customers need.
We certainly see organizations wanting to kind of cloudify their operations in terms of, making it simple, making it intuitive, and having that speed and agility and flexibility to be able to deliver those kind of services. And we also see organizations, in terms of what holds them back, is kind of almost knowing what that end state, which will never be an end state, of course, because life cycles will keep rotating and turning, but where they start and where they want to get to. So we try and make sure that we focus on a stepped approach to that and not trying to boil the ocean at any particular moment. But once that platform's in place, then you can start seeing organizations and estate agents who are maybe more cloud native than those legacy type organizations who absolutely can deliver virtual reality type experiences, or whether it's the retail stores that extend the online digital experience to in store, to just really make sure that they get that customer wow factor. And we certainly see trends along, software developers becoming more and more prevalent, the types of skills, which I know is something we're going to talk about in a short while. But those skills, how do they inject those into the business and how do they keep those people to be able to deliver that platform and those services?
So that's quite a complicated set of arrangements there. The right infrastructure, the vision and the inspiration to try new things, and then a completely new set of talent coming into the organisation. I think there are some big questions here for how do organisations look at innovation now?
Yeah, it's a real challenge, I think. But again, unless you have the right foundation in place, innovation is really difficult to achieve and your business is held back. So I think it's about getting that foundation in place, but at the same time, having the vision, bringing in the right talent, people with the right skills, and the right ability to deal with complexity within your business.
In a software-defined world, the ability to abstract a lot of that technology really helps deliver that simplified operations for sure.
Who do you think is doing well in digital innovation right now? Any good examples?
I think I talked about the streaming services before from a music perspective. I think the speed at which they change and update their services is phenomenal. You get a new version of Spotify every few months and new features and functionality. But again, it's the personalisation of that which is really, really important and which delivers kind of real loyalty from a customer's perspective. That's the real end game or the real goal for these organisations. It's about delivering differentiation that will make your customers really loyal to you and stick with you as they go through their journey.
Yeah, I've got an example of a local salad store that has got an app. It's basically you can go there between 12 and 2 and there's a huge queue of people queuing up to get their salads freshly made, or you can engage with the app. It starts giving you suggestions about types of salads you might like based on what you're ordering. You pre-order, you just turn up at a different queue, which is much smaller. It's already prepaid, so you just turn up, give a number, bang, you're gone. So those sorts of, almost it doesn't matter what kind of organisation, big or small, I think the opportunity to transform and provide the type of service that a customer wants is there for all.
So businesses can't get by on tech alone. We spend a lot of time talking about tech. They need people, but really great people. And I think we all know there's a bit of a war out there to attract the best talent. Where do employees fit into this digital transformation strategy we've been talking about?
Well, employees are everything. As they say, happy employees equal happy customers. I think, though, they tend to get overlooked, kind of like what we were talking about earlier with customers, because we have legacy mindsets, we have legacy workflows. But the digital transformation, I think, is where that opportunity begins. If we don't emphasize the digital so much, but maybe look at the human side of the story, we could see that what's happening to customers with their experiences evolving, with their expectations, their preferences also evolving and changing. The same is true for employees. So I often say that EX, or employee experience, is the new CX, is that we have to focus on that every bit as we're also focusing on CX. And it's not just any one group, right? Because there's a lot of new talent we need to hire, new skill sets, new expertise. It's every facet of the business. So we have new talent, and then we have existing talent. We have employees who, honestly, in an era of AI and machine learning, some of the jobs or some of the processes are going to be automated. So this is an opportunity to help invest in our talent, to grow them, to help them grow, to help them spark creativity, to do new things, to be more strategic, to unlock new opportunities in the wake of all of this new technology.
So that makes me think, what about the best practices and processes that are going to empower employees, and what impact is that going to have on culture? Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, one of the things that we're doing at the moment is enriching data that our customers have, so people that typically run large networks for organizations, and giving them contextual information that will help them potentially identify faults that might occur in the future. And what's the impact of that? Well, it gives them control over their day-to-day working life. And if they're in control, then they're usually more happy employees. They're not on the back foot trying to respond to issues and trying to fix faults. They've predicted them, and they're making sure that they fix them and making sure that the business always operates in the most efficient way possible. So there's a massive change to the way that the employee works from a day-to-day basis if we give them the right information and the right tools to run their business properly.
Yeah, and we certainly see that at Juniper in terms of our customers, who are in many instances large telcos and operators, as well as enterprises. And what we absolutely see is a convergence of humans and machines coming together to really deliver a premium service. So absolutely around artificial intelligence and that predictive analysis or root cause analysis at that particular point. And it's very different if you look at the skills and the enabling that needs to take place, and the investment, of course, in people and the processes that impact the culture. But it's very, very different when you're troubleshooting a software-defined network as opposed to troubleshooting a more of a fixed proprietary hardware type network. So those skills and those tools and ways that we can bring customer experience as well as employee experience through the roof, I think is again the route of direction that we're on, the trajectory that we're on with our partners and our customers. And as owners of the technology, it's incumbent on us to simplify that as much as possible, make it as intuitive as possible, and again again, deliver premium customer experience.
So if we're helping our employees to predict problems before they happen, if we're changing the culture to empower them and we're simplifying the way people work, it kind of seems to me, Brian, that we're giving people a chance to be more creative in their work. Where do you see some examples of that?
I have to say that creativity is so important as it's a pillar of innovation. And today, we need more innovation, and what we often see is a lot of iteration. I talk about iteration as doing the same things better using new technology, but innovation is doing new things that create new value. And that can be new value for employees, and that can be new value for customers. So for example, today we're using a lot of AI and machine learning to eliminate repetitive tasks and allow employees to be more strategic in their roles by ridding them of those tasks that maybe they weren't so happy with in the first place. So that gives them an opportunity to grow and stretch and learn new things in order to be more valuable to the organization. But when I think about technology and its impact on not just employee experience, but employee happiness and culture and everything around it, is that AI and machine learning can introduce new jobs, requiring new types of opportunities and talents in order to fulfill those jobs or even define what those jobs are. So this is a wonderful time for imagination and creativity, all to drive innovation. It also takes away that fear of machine learning taking away my job. So I'm an optimist. I actually believe that if we can get management behind all of this by introducing new types of jobs to create new types of great experiences internally and externally.
So I'd like to wrap up by asking you all to offer some advice to our audience. I think businesses know that we all have to continually transform, but what does it take to be a disruptor and stay ahead of everybody else? Alex?
Yeah, so I would start with the foundations, right? The obvious place to start. So making sure that if you're trying to drive innovation in your business, you need your business to be as agile as possible. You don't want your IT systems and your networking infrastructure holding back your business. So we like to think about starting with delivering programmable infrastructure that can deliver a much more agile network that can grow as your business grows. And change as your business changes and respond to changes in your business environment. If you get that right, then all the innovation we've been talking about earlier on can follow. But if you get that wrong, your business will be inhibited. So start with the foundations first.
And what about the human side of things, Brian?
The honest answer is to be a disruptor, you have to be a disruptor. And that takes challenging conventions. And to challenge conventions means that you have to challenge your own mindset and perspective. And I think that's the hardest part. In my work, I have had so many struggles with getting past those quiet enemies of innovation, which are things like egos and politics and all of the things that just make it so difficult to actually see you're not being a disruptor. So I think where that comes down is kind of breaking free from this management model that is so pervasive today and really bringing up leadership and vision and thinking not just about innovation, because that's, I think, becoming status quo now. You have to innovate. I think to be a disruptor, if innovation is creating new value, then disruption is creating new value that makes the old things obsolete. And that's where you become a market leader. And I believe that at the heart of that is the human side of the story, human-centered design, human-centered innovation, because all of this technology, I believe, can make us more human if we let it. And I think that gives all of this purpose. Instead of just following the rules for digital transformation and digitally transforming like everyone else, you give it a purpose, and that's what matters.
So what's your advice, James?
Well, based on experience and some good old-fashioned quotes, Peter Drucker once said that if you want to start doing something new, you've got to stop doing something old. So, in essence, disruption starts from within. I certainly see it from organizations that strive to be different and to make a difference in their particular marketplace. And I would also say, coming back to the people and the employees aspect, the guys and girls that are closest to the customer are the ones that quite often know the changes that need to be made. And in some instances, there'll be significant transformation. In others, it might well be just some tweaks or some changes that are relatively simple to implement. And then again, I think design thinking start with the human experience, the human aspect, and work the way back to how you then put the right process, the right procedures in general, which impacts culture. So for me, I think it's when I see customers and organizations that are really making a difference, it's those kind of two things converging that really set them apart from some of their competition.
Finally, if you could identify one aspect of digital transformation and the future of work that really excites you, what would it be? James.
Well, personally, it's the ability to outsource my job and only work 2 days a week. But other than that, I mean, everything that we've been talking about today, everything that just I think underpins the ability to drive a more efficient workforce, a more happy workforce that ultimately delivers, happier customers that keep coming back. So for me, it's all about that.
Alex.
Yeah, for me, it's about automation. I mean, we are building networks at the moment that can respond automatically to customers' business intent and to changes in their environment. And what does that deliver to the customer? It goes back to what we were talking about right at the beginning. It's all about delivering simplicity. The customer has a network that can deal with issues automatically, so the customer can focus on the real issue in hand, which is about how they drive their business forward. And that really excites me.
And Brian.
I think I'm with James. The one aspect that really excites me is opportunity. We tend to think about the future based on our past experiences, but really what's before us are new frontiers. Innovation and disruption, they're choices. They can either be threats or they can be opportunities for us to create new possibilities, to rethink what's possible. Individually and collectively, we can all be the masters of a brand new destiny.
Well, we've come to the end of our discussion today, so thank you all for a great contribution. It's been a great discussion. I've really enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. I hope we've given you plenty to think about today, and we hope to speak to you soon. Goodbye.